stuff is not any different in that respect. Okay, so I said I was going to do the chimps here real quick, but I'm running out of time. Let me just say one quick thing about kanji here. So it's unclear what these apes who have been taught things like that are human-like language, it's unclear what exactly they're learning. But at the moment, let's be generous. And when they say things like, it turns out that when they say ball good, that means give me the ball. When they say gum hurry, it means give me the gum. When it says chase you, it means chase. When they say toothbrush give me, it means give me. When they say flower there, it means give it to me. So all of them mean these commanding things. So, but they have a kind of an event participant organization. They have this kind of organization of things and events. But I just want to focus on one thing here, that there's no informing, there's no declarative sharing. They're all directives. And if you look at the kind of multi-word combinations that they use, here are some of the things they don't do. They don't mark the role for the listener. So they can't distinguish, John hit Mary from Mary hit John. They can't distinguish those where you need either word order or case marking or something to indicate it. And why do you do that? Why do we do that in language anyway? We do it to make sure the listener knows the relationship between John and Mary in hitting. And they're not taking the listener's point of view into account when they do this. There's no referential choice for the listener, so they don't have pronouns. And they can't say Fred or he or my nephew or my neighbor or the guy who. They don't have various verb phrases with is breaking or broke or was breaking or will have broken or anything, which are things that we do to help the listener know exactly which thing we're talking about and exactly about the action and its temporal structure and so forth, and no information structure. So ask yourself sometime, why do we humans, the same exact event, we can say, Fred broke the window. The window was broken. It was Fred who broke the window. The window broke. It was the window that got broken. It was the window that Fred broke. Okay, we can use all of those to describe the same event, and we do them because we're adjusting for the listener depending on what they do and don't know. It's just one example. If you say John broke the window, I say no. It was Fred. It was Fred that broke the window. Those kind of cleft constructions are to counteract your belief. Okay, so I'm going into that just to say that whatever it is the chimps are doing, they don't have this cooperative structure of trying to formulate it so that the other guy can understand it. They have these little labels they use and the human reacts, but they're not conceptualizing it for the other. And I think one of the key things about the cognitive dimensions of human communication is that we formulate things so that our listener will understand them. And our listener tries hard to make the right inferences and understand them. So it's a cooperative process of communication and cooperation. Okay, that's the model which you can look at in my 2008 book, and I won't bore you with it here. Okay. All right, so to conclude, pointing and pantomiming already have a species-unique communicative structure and motives. So let's start with those before we get to all the complexities of language. They are underpinned by the structure of joint attention and common ground that makes them meaningful. They are motivated by cooperative motives of helping and sharing information. And linguistic conventions are only possible, I would argue, if this shared intentionality infrastructure is already in place, either phylogenetically and ontogenetically. So phylogenetically, it's a hypothesis that this stuff was in place first, and then came linguistic conventions. And in ontogeny, I would say it's a fact. It's an empirical fact that children don't start learning language until they can do some of this sharing through pointing and other kinds of collaborative activities, including pointing. And then we conventionalize linguistic symbols, and there's something like 6,000 different languages in the world, and so they're conventionalized differently. All people have the same shared intentionality infrastructure. All have the same natural gestures of pointing and iconic gestures, but they conventionalize different linguistic symbols depending on various, what's important to them, what's interesting to them, and their particular culture, and conventionalizing grammatical constructions as well. So if I'm going to conclude all three lectures with one slide, I would do it this way. I would say the overall big picture from the three lectures is that human phylogeny, that is human evolution, goes from a more individualistic way of interacting with the world, where I'm mainly concerned about myself and fulfilling my goals, to a more cooperative way of life. Obligate collaborative foraging is a very plausible candidate for the context within which that more cooperative way of life evolved. It could be something else, but that's my candidate. Altruism, which I talked about yesterday, comes from the interdependence that this way of life brings about, that if we need one another to get our daily bread, then we're going to be nice to one another. And we're going to help one another when they need help, because I'm going to need you to be my collaborative partner tomorrow, so I want you healthy, wealthy, and wise. Cooperative communication, I didn't talk about it so much, but the proposal in the book is that cooperative communication evolved to coordinate these collaborative activities, and one of the sort of hints of that is that they have the same basic structure of shared knowledge about the goal, shared knowledge, joint attention, and these cooperative motives. And in ontogeny, we go from children being more cooperative, not to more individualistic or selfish, I don't mean that, but from more indiscriminately cooperative to more strategically and selectively cooperative, early helping, sharing, and informing, and children become more selective, and ultimately norm following and norm enforcement as children become full members of the culture and not only just are sort of consumers of the culture, but full participants and active members. So, thank you very much.